Part 3 of revealing the first writer's formats in Joshua, and it's going to start out at 22:28 to the end, and then I'm going to probably have enough time to start the next, or show you the next cleaned up version. So I will get with the program here. Yeah, I have added the word agreed with them. Just here, everywhere around us was been peaceful. So, like I said, when we look at where is that? Maybe it's in where I'm supposed to be looking. Maybe I've just got to go up here. And this is the land that we're talking about now. And it's down, not quite down to the river yet, Egypt's river, but here, this is the initial promised land that they were given. This is not the promised land, but on this side. Okay. Now, which would have been above, because around, I guess, it doesn't fit the west, seacoast, so, but the best I could do is come up with the word around. It said every side. Then maybe that's what I'm going to do. Just go back to the text. Every side. And let me take that over here so I can make sure that that's going to happen. Okay. Now I have them as commanders. So yeah, it looks like maybe that's what I've done with the text. No, I don't think I had done that yet. But they weren't books yet. Books don't happen. Scrolls they couldn't go back and re-edit. Later, they learned from the Babylonians that the clay, they could not change it, and the clay could be kept for a long time. Not turn aside, but away. And again, these words I would have looked up, I guess, for you, and I wanted to explain that their gods are in the other kingdoms. And this is where I had to change the word nation to kingdoms to separate. So when you read kingdoms, it's always outside the Israel's nation, the nation of Israel. And yeah, I think this is going to be about it here. And then here, all the way through here, and then they answered they will not serve their gods. Just unique when you see all that text. And you see this. It's kind of like, will those two group together? Okay, later. Or does this one group up with something else way down here? No, because after this it starts a new story, so it might group with that word above. Now, I've got his age at 70, and in his 70th, 7/10 years before he's 71, 7/10 and 1, he passed away. These things, the word this, I know that a lot of times, I've looked it up so many times, that they did use the word this or these many times for each other. And then they buried him in the cave. Now, I know that when I was doing Genesis, I mentioned, well, we don't know if they did that. I don't know if it's in the text, but here it says that they brought the bones of Joseph and Israel. Okay? And they brought them from Egypt. So they did get buried in the cave at this time. There was another story there that they went up and buried Israel. But I knew when I took that out, I knew of this story, I just didn't know where it was at. And then Eleazar, a son from Aaron, died, and we buried him with them. Okay, now that's that text as it is, and I'm going to sit there and say, just make sure I got that. And then I'm going to show you the cleaned up text. Now, I'm going to probably have to do some editing on here. What's this word here? Oh, okay, that's in 1.5. Yes, I took that out here. Army will took that out in the last video, and you can see that would have been too many words. And then the next edit, let's see, let me get that, so I don't get confused. It's going to be a while. What I'm looking for is what I edited, because in here I would have kept some edits. Okay, here's that verse that I said that didn't belong, and they went, they'll be, they didn't fit anywhere. And then I moved the text here from here. I moved it up here, and they were seen in Jericho for the story to actually read together. So this is the correction, all that needed for this story to read together, that why did they come to Rahab? They were seen in Jericho, and they entered your inn. And then, not that they came to spy us, for they came to spy on us and were seen in Jericho, and they entered your inn. Now the story makes reasonably sense when you're reading it. I don't know why that these, well, not. There's got to be a shortcut key that I'm hitting somewhere when I'm pressing the macro. And then I left this as just a note for me that it's a 4-verse. So, and the 4-verse takes up here. Yeah, let me see if I can stop scrolling, and let me bring this text down a little bit so I'm getting more in there. So in case you want to take a screenshot or something that you see important, you can do that. And then maybe bring me back in here because I'm talking to you, and you got to see my hands waving around when I do stuff. And I haven't run a spell check yet and everything, so don't get all excited. I do that at the end. And here's that straight ahead verse that I was talking about. Well, I still couldn't figure it out when I checked the computer. Those words just junk. So go and fill out every one of their people. So it's just restating. I know I don't like doubling of words, but I couldn't think of anything better but to double the words this time. Because the text is quite quick here, and I thought there was something I had to put in different order. And I shortened up all their names here. So their names are going to be that now. And we go 10, 1. Okay. And I made it the king here. And I wanted to make it king. Oops, I better do that. Okay, and then here in 3, no. In and by the city. Let's see what else kind of editing I did. Okay, here's the group that I had to move up. And it was just a short group because because when you're reading it, when it's cleaned up, I'm looking at the timeline consistently. Does this make sense in this? And what it is the timeline that if I didn't put this here, they assigned a refuge town. Well, they would have sent them to their land, and then he would have signed them. And then from that piece where I got that story is here, and then the sons, they built this altar on the side of the land. So while he was assigning the cities, they were building the altar. Okay. And then this just gets moved up, and these are quicker searches. So if you've got the PDF, it's sometimes you can just put that in the search, bing, bing, back and forth to get to where you're going. Here was those 2 verses that I didn't have words, and here's what I ended up doing was adding this because it goes with the story. Now when I'm reading it, and yes, this is the story that's coming out of what's going on. And I needed to add the word ing here. Now, what's unique about burning the sin offering? I should have time in this video. The word sacrifice was used to kill a ram that they brought before their priest to atone for their sin. And then what he would do, they would kill the animal. Well, that's sacrificing that animal. Then the priest would, and the assistant would remove the muscles from the lamb, and then they would to put it on like a platter or a plate, and then take it in. And on the altar, they had these hooks, these stands with hooks on them, and they'd hang the meat on it, and then they would put the wood underneath it, and then they would go over to where the fire's at, and on the fire pan they would bring over fire and put the wood on fire and then burn up this offering. So you have a sacrifice and you have an offering. And the muscles were to show that it was the action of the sin. And then the male on the outside could see that his offering was like smoke being offered up, and then our Creator was to forgive more, and it showed like it was to forget, that it just disappears. Then the priest or their priest from their tribe would go in and ask our Creator whether he has atoned from his sin or not. If our Creator didn't talk to him and tell him yes or no, if he told him yes, then he could go back and live on the land. But if he said no, then they were to be removed out from their land. Okay? That is, there's nothing in the text that says that, but that's why people were very dedicated at that time when they went in, because either you were out or you were left in the promised land to receive the promises from our Creator. Over time, the next couple hundred years here, because there's going to be a gap in the text, that the next time after Joshua, we ended up with Samuel. But so there's judges that are missing in the text, but Samuel shows up, and the land is already divided into two. And then later, when at Solomon's time after, David's going to bring them back together, and then our Creator's going to divide them again. But the object here is over this period of time, our Creator had stopped talking to them, whether they were or not. It was more or less up to the priest to decide it. And then the people started getting corrupt at that time. And you'll see in Samuel that the people just started ignoring our Creator. It took a few years to fall away. But just like now, Christians just are not very obedient. They're all weak, very, very weak at best. And that's the end of the text. Now let me show you what the text will look like when it's cleaned up without all the numbers. And this is what's so unique about the text, that when you start seeing it like this, that these two groups go together, these two go together, these two go together, and notice how the subject changes, and then those two go together. And I didn't try to do this on purpose, and then this becomes a different story. But the thing here is a lot of times you can see that why I am saying these are the first writer's words, where they started from. Now, all that extra other stuff, I don't know if it was true and they added it to it and they jumbled it up, but a lot of it is not needed. And when you see the end text, especially of our Creator's everlasting promises, that's the major book. That is the one. But this one here might have some extra little tidbits that might be of interest to make it a teachable moment for people and have maybe a greater understanding of text in our Creator's hidden formats. I am doing this because I don't want anybody else to come through and grab the copyrights. I own the copyrights of this text. When I die, 50 years afterwards, nobody can change it. That's it. It better never be changed. This is so encrypted of the text. You have no idea what's going on here. You have to remember the text that you're looking at and reading today, those Bibles, are written by men that sit and meditate and have a sex with this female goddess. And they wrote everything for them in here. That's why it's so double text, not written in first person. When you start understanding that there's errors, people today are reading the text, and what I say is they they take the sugar that they can see there, the good of the text, and then they have a belief. Well, I'm going to take their belief to a trust by showing them that this is the text. They didn't have 600 wives or concubines or whatever. That's just not following our Creator's words. He told them to follow how He wanted man to exist on earth and live by His laws and His understanding. And these guys didn't care about it. And so that's why you see so much deception in the text. That's why I say there are 12 commandments. There's not 10. There's 12. Okay? So, but all this text will be in, hopefully, put up someday. probably within a month to get this far, that you'll find a link in the description below of all the links of all the videos and a link for all the PDFs, or right now there'll be separate PDFs. I got them grouped together as I've done or updated. But the object here is that when it gets done, they will actually be numbered in order correctly of all the PDFs. I think there'll probably be over 160 of them. But the object is it'll be better organized once I'm done, because all this text that you're seeing me do, I have stopped combining them, because when you get into the Hebrew side of text before the prophets, the stories of who's where and what's going on are all over the place. So the books have to be actually pieced together. So, but when it gets all done, all those PDFs that I make to show these videos will all be there to for history to see that and understand why I am changing what I'm changing and what I'm finding. Others will try this. They won't get exactly what I get, but they will come close, and that'll be enough proof to take your faith to a trust of what I'm doing. For those that are coming in, those that have a strong faith, when you start reading this and saying, yes, everything else does not matter, they will have that trust. And that's what our Creator sent me to do, to tell you the truth about Jesus and everything that had, why we are able to go, why some of us will live in heaven forever and the others will live in the abyss until the last, or Jesus' second coming, when man will no longer exist on earth. And then there will be a hell, and then there will be a heaven. He will create hell at that time and put everybody in the abyss there. From there, because the way I'm seeing our Creator as forgiving people, that once they know he exists, such as those that were on earth, they didn't like Creator, they didn't believe Creator. All of a sudden, there they are in the abyss, and they're still existing. They didn't think it existed, and now they're saying, wow, he really did exist, and I'm going to live forever. If they are obedient to our Creator and do as best as they can, I believe that even there, those are going to enter into heaven, into Jesus' kingdom. But the others, they are forever in hell. That's what the text tells me. Whether our Creator changes his mind a couple trillion years from now, with our understanding of time on earth, that's up to him. What else can I say here to end this video? No, I'm not going to mention that. But I think that I think what you're seeing here, I'm hoping that you have this trust in the text.